Welcome back to At Your Leisure. It's What's New time. Today our What's New is, you guessed it, the Honda Talon 4-seat 1000X. Now, when we found out that Steadman's was going to provide this machine for us to take on our adventure today, we thought we'd better get down here in advance and show you some of the features on it before we got it all dusty out there on the trail. So, in overview, this is powered with a 999cc liquid-cooled motor. It is the same parallel twin that they put in the Honda Africa Twin adventure bike, and it's virtually paired up with the same automatic but manual shiftable transmission. It's got some great features. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes, but let's start by taking a look at some of the great things about this machine. So let's head on up to the front suspension. I want to start up here on the front and take a look at the suspension here. You've got a Fox gas adjustable shock absorber system, sits over a double A-arm suspension. Now this is the only difference between the X and the R, and it lies in the suspension. The X is a little narrower at 60 inches. This has 15 inches of travel in the front, 17 inches of travel in the back, compared to 17 in the front and 20 on the R, because it's got that wider stance. The A-arms can drop down and give you a little bit more of ground clearance and a little bit more comfort if you're going to do a lot of jumping. However, with this particular suspension and the 12.5 inches of ground clearance, this is a lot more technical. It's a little bit more precise. For somebody that's going to be up in the hills or doing trail climbing or rock crawling, this is the unit to have. Now, let's go to the back suspension and take a look at what they've done back there. Around here in the back, you'll see that they've got a 3-point suspension system with a trailing arm and double suspension arms back here to give it the suspension ride. You've got the shock again. Look at this frame. This is really solid, heavy, welded tubular frame construction. It is a little bit beefier than some of the other ones that I've seen around. And there you have it. There's that V-twin engine with a really unique transmission. And this is worth talking about, and we'll get into it later when we get out on the trail. But this has an automatic manual shifting transmission. I'd like to say it's kind of like the Rubicon, but again, I think it is a variant of the Africa Twin, where you can either shift it fully automatic or you can override that and shift through each gear manually, and it's got paddle shifters like an F1 racing car. The nice advantage to this is it still has a high range and a low range, a true transfer case, so you in essence have a 12-gear speed box at your disposal to operate this machine, and that's really significant. So this is something that's really interesting about this. Honda has suicide-type doors that swing out of your way, but notice, most machines will come this far, maybe even this far to 90 degrees. This is more than 90 degrees, which allows you a lot of room to easily get in and out. Generally, I'm really pleased with the interior layout on this. They've got cup holders front and rear. They've got two cubbies, neither one of them very big, and they have an adequate-sized glove box. But you can net yourself in and get quite a bit of security and protection. And if you throw cargo in the back seat instead of people, the back window option that we have on this one and the netting on the side really makes for secure storage. But here are those paddle shifters we're talking about. You basically set your gate shifter like you would on any other unit. You have two-wheel drive, front-wheel drive. This little feature right here is a hill holder. So basically, if you push this down, it gives you 2 or 3 seconds where you can take your foot off the brake and your machine will not roll on a hill till you hit the gas and then it goes. This is their launch mode. And this is a real high shifting pattern so that it can get you up and over those sand dune humps and bumps and into the air. You have the shifting between automatic, fully automatic, and your manual shifting. And then you have a sport setting which tightens down your shifting levers and gives you that sportier, quicker feel. Downsides to this. I don't know if you can see this too clearly from there, but I want you to take a look. One of the problems that I had with this machine, while I do like the doors, see this lip right here? Now I know they did that for a lot of reasons, to maybe keep water out of the compartment or something while you're driving. But I will tell you that if you're a little bit heavier person or you're a little bit older, this is a big, hard lift. In fact, I'm pretty agile, and it's hard for me to easily get in. If I don't have that wheel to grab, it's a little bit difficult to get into this machine. Once you're in, it's really nice. If you look down on the floor, you'll see that you've got double foot pushes down here kind of pedal replacement, so if you need a little extra grip, you've got it. And you've got one over on this side, so you got a place to put your feet. Almost all the machines have some kind of oh crap bar, something for the passenger to hold on to keep their hands inside and on something so that they don't get their hand crushed if there's a rollover. But what I do like about Hondas is that unlike others that are one size fits all or just have pins you drop in, this one is 100% adjustable. Take a look at this. They do have a tilt steering wheel, and you say, well, that's no big deal. But take a look at this. This sucker drops right down into Formula One territory. You pop the seat all the way back, man, you are Parnelli Jones. This is pretty interesting, and it does make for some interesting driving out there in the field. I want to talk a little bit about the four-wheel drive system. This is something that I really liked, and I got some problems with on this particular model. What I really like about it is that it has a full hard locker on the back axle, so you always have got both wheels turning. It has in the front, in four-wheel drive, a limited slit, which is kind of like the traction technologies in a lot of cars. It looks for slippage in the tire through like the brake sensors, and then it applies brake to put power onto the wheel that's got traction. And it moves pretty quickly, get back and forth, and will give you as much traction as you need. But there is a problem with it, and maybe it's only a problem in Utah because we're one of the few states that's street legal. But it's best to demonstrate by sound. All right, listen to this. That's the point I'm trying to make. With the locker engaged all the time in the back, when you're on pavement, it's always skipping and hopping when you're turning corners. So you draw attention to yourself because you're always putting a little rubber on the road with those back tires. It'd be nice if, like some of the older models or some of the other brands, you could actually take that locker and disengage it so you just had a limited slip differential in the back until you needed it. But that's just my advice to the engineers at Honda. Well, that gives you a walk around of the features here, but the real performance is out on the trail, and we've got all the way to Wendover and back to prove our point. So let's get going with the party. The Honda Talon is very quick off the line. Even though it's only naturally aspirated, it was able to keep up with the big boys all day long. For a machine that you can start with the two-seaters at under $20,000, it is pretty impressive. This transmission is different from the get-go. You are kind of used to that slow, slightly lethargic, smooth acceleration when you've got a centrifugal clutch and a belt. You don't have that with this. When you push on the gas, the result is instantaneous. And so at low speeds, it's kind of a jerky machine. And that takes getting used to, and some people may not get used to it. But once you get up there and it starts shifting its way through the gears, you all of a sudden realize that your engine is responsive to you. And you don't have to have any gimmicks for a hill holder to bring you down the hill. If you need to clutch back, you've got gears engaged and you can use engine compression just like any other vehicle. And so it really makes the sure-footedness coming down steep grades really, really comfortable. This being the X model, there were places that I was able to go that some of our friends who were with us in the wider machines weren't able to go. That difference between 72 and 60 really makes a big difference in handling. And it was able to catch corners a little tighter and get on a new track. It was pretty grabby, which I like. I like the fact it really kind of gets on its new track and it sticks with it. So I was generally pretty impressed with it. The thing that I will talk about is that it has to be said, on the course of this ride so far, we've seen 7 belts burn up in the 100+ degree desert temperature as we were making our way to Wendover. And every time I stopped, I said, it's a good day to be driving a Honda. If you would like to take a look at the Honda Talon, the 4-seat or the 2-seat, when we left Stedman's this morning, there was one of each at least in the parking lot, so make your way down there and check them out. Stedman's is on Main Street in Tooele. We'll be back with more of our At Your Leisure adventure on our way to Wendover with Ride for Life right after these commercial messages.